Hello, this is Explain English from BBC Learning English. I'm Sam.
And I'm new.
In this program, we're discussing low emission zones and explaining some useful items of vocabulary along the way.
Well, that's good, Sam. But what exactly is a low emission zone?
Well, the non emission is an amount of usually gas that is sent out into the air and harms the environment is pollution, and a low emission zone is an area of a city where the amount of pollution is controlled.
Of course, and cities like London have that. Most vehicles, including cars and vans, need to meet cer- certain emissions standards of their drivers must pay a daily charge to drive within the zone, or they might even be banned altogether.
Exactly, it's all about making the air we breathe cleaner. And my question today is about one UK city which recently announced that it wants to be the country's first net zero city, placing their greenhouse emissions as the neutral level. But which one is it? Is it A. Glasgow, B. Manchester, C. Cardiff?
Yes, I have heard about this, and I'm sure it's a Glasgow.
Okay, I will let you know if that was correct. If that was correct at the end of the program. Now, Neil mentioned that London already has an ultra low emission zones, but this year other UK cities, including Bath, Leeds, and Birmingham, are also bringing in clean air zones.
And around the world, many other cities like Beijing, Paris, and metros have these zones. Although there are many types of emissions, such as from factors, these zones could predominantly target exhaust forms from vehicles who poisonous gas for the nitrogen dioxide.
Let's hear from an expert on this. Alistair Lewis, who is a professor of atmospheric chemistry at the University of York. He spoke to BBC Radio 4's Inside Science program and explained why we should be trying to reduce these pollutants, a word for the substance that cause pollutions.
Most of the evidence we have now on air pollution is that we con- continues to see health benefits by reducing pollution, even when you are below the target value. So just because the cities miss a particular value, there is still an incentive to continues to improve air quality because the healthy benefits continues to build up as you do that. So targets are very good and focusing the mind, but they should not be the only things that we are considered. Actually, mentions targets. These are obvious levels of something that need to be actually they gives us use some things to aim for. In this case, reducing air pollution.
He uses the phrase focusing the mind that means to concentrate on one idea or thought.
But while setting a target to cut air pollution is good, it has healthy benefits, we should not just focus on meeting the target. Even if the target is met, we should not stop trying to improve. The incentive should be that we are improving people's healthy.
And an incentive is something that encourages someone to do something. So I think it's accepted that creating low emission zones is an incentive because it encourages people to either not drive into cities or to at least drive low polluting vehicles.
And of course, changing to efficient and of course, changing to electronic powered cars is one way to do this. There's more of an incentive to do this now, at least in the UK, because the government has set new diesel and petrol cars and vans will be banned in the from 2014.
But pollution from vehicles is just part of the problem. As Alistair Lewis points out,
One has to assess that air pollution is an enormously complex problem with very large numbers of contributing sources, and there will never be any one single action that will cure the problem for us. So low, low emissions zones are one way to reduce concentrations concentrations, but they are in not in isolation going to be the solution. And Allison points out that air pollution is a complex problems. Complex problems is com, complicated, different, and involves many parts.
yes, there are many sources, things that create these emissions, so it's not possible to solve or cure the problem by doing one thing. Low emission zones are only one part of the solution to the problem.
He said it was one way to reduce concentrations is mixed amounts of substance pollutants fall in some things, which here is the air.
Well, earlier Neil, you had to concentrate your mind and answer a question about emissions. I asked which UK city recently announced that it wants to be the country's first net zero city, placing their greenhouse emissions at a neutral level. Was it A. Glasgow, B. Manchester, or C. Cardiff? And Neil, what do you say?
I said it's Glasgow.
And it is Glasgow. Well done, Neil. It wants to become the UK's first net zero city, and later this year it is hosting a major United Nations climate change summit.
Okay, Sam, I think we need a recap of the vocabulary we have discussed, starting with the emissions.
Emissions are amounts of usually gas that is sent out into the air from things like cars. They harm the environment, and pollutants are the actual substance that cause pollution.
Focus the mind needs to concentrate, concentrate one one idea, and or thought.
And we mentioned an incentive, which is something that encourages someone to do something.
Complex describes something that is complicated, different, 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 and involves many parts.
And when talking about pollution, we sometimes talk about concentrations, these are amounts of substance or pollutants within something.
In the city, we might find high concentrations of nitrogen dioxide because of all the traffic is not great for our health. Sam.
Indeed, that's why we need low emission zones. And that brings us to the end of this 6 minute English program. See you soon. Bye.